What do you see in these piles of dry branches in the corner of your garden? Most of us see waste to be burned. But what if I told you the truth? What you throw away could be worth more than gold. Literally. While today we spend fortunes on chemical fertilizers and irrigation systems, there is something much more powerful. Something our ancestors discovered centuries ago. A method so revolutionary that it allowed cultivation without buying even a gram of fertilizer, without worrying about drought, without any costs. But this knowledge disappeared. It was deliberately forgotten. Today, I will start revealing to you what really happened back then, and why big corporations don't want you to know this. In the deep valleys of the Carpathians hundreds of years ago, old farmers did something strange, something their neighbors considered pure foolishness, but their fields produced 3 times more than others. 3 times, without any additional input, without fertilizers. If this discovery intrigues you, leave a thumbs up and tell me in the comments if you would like us to create a channel dedicated only to flowers and ornamental plants for the garden. Your opinion is important to us here at Green Treasure. But before I tell you what these old masters did, I need to show you something even more fascinating. Have you ever wondered about something strange? During the worst summer heat waves, when your lawn is scorched by the sun, the forest remains green, deeply green, impossibly green. No one waters there. No irrigation system, no fertilizers. 0. So where does the forest get its water? Where does it get its nutrients? This question plagued scientists for decades. But the answer is so simple, it's shocking. The secret is not on top. It's deep underneath, where no one looks, where the real magic happens. And that's exactly what these medieval farmers discovered. They observed the forest with religious attention. They studied every detail, every process. And then they noticed something that changed everything. In the forest, death is not the end, it's the beginning. Fallen trees don't disappear. They simply transform into something extraordinary. Something that modern science is only just beginning to understand. But before I tell you what it is, you need to understand something crucial. I have prepared material that reveals all this ancient knowledge step by step. A secret that master gardeners of the past protected like the most precious treasure of life. And now let's go back to what happens in the forest. When a tree dies, its cells don't disappear. Millions and millions of microscopic structures. They open, change their form, and here the true magic of transformation begins. Fungi and bacteria begin their work. Slow, quiet, relentless. They break down wood fibers atom by atom, and something amazing happens. Hard wood becomes something completely different. Something that can change your garden forever. A natural, living sponge. A sponge that can absorb up to 5 times its own weight in water. 5 times. Now stop for a moment and think about this. What would happen if you had such a sponge under your plants? A sponge that collects every drop of rain, stores it for months, and releases it exactly when your plants need it. It sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But this is pure science, and this is exactly what these old master gardeners did. But water stored deep in the soil is only half of this amazing story. There's something even more surprising and absolutely fascinating happening constantly beneath the Earth's surface. Something our wise ancestors understood perfectly, observing nature with great patience and attention for generations. Buried wood deep in the soil generates constant and uninterrupted heat for years. Yes, you heard that right. And it's no myth. Real, tangible heat. Decomposition is not at all a cold and completely passive chemical process, as many people mistakenly believe. It is a slow fire that burns absolutely constantly beneath the soil surface day and night. Billions and billions of microscopic living organisms work tirelessly every day and every night without interruption. They devour the carbon contained within the wood structure with extraordinary greed and determination, and during this incredible biological process, they release enormous, unbelievable amounts of pure thermal energy. Heat that spreads systematically in all possible directions through the soil. A well-constructed and wisely layered mound can genuinely be several valuable degrees warmer than the surrounding atmospheric air. This is exactly like having completely natural and free underfloor heating for all your precious plants. This literally and fundamentally changes absolutely everything during these delicate and critical transitional seasons when that sudden and unexpected spring night frost arrives, which usually mercilessly kills all young and fragile seedlings, or when autumn suddenly turns icy and freezing entirely without any warning for gardeners. This constant and reliable warmth, which slowly and systematically rises from deep within the decomposing wood, effectively and reliably protects all sensitive roots. It maintains a perfectly and precisely stable temperature of the entire soil, even on the coldest and most frosty winter nights, and your plants grow vigorously and healthy, while all your neighbors' plants inevitably and sadly die around them. You can calmly and without worry plant a full 3 weeks earlier in spring than all other local gardeners in the area, and harvest in complete peace and abundance 2 full months later in autumn, when everyone else has long since closed their gardens. If this truly valuable and practical information opens your eyes to new possibilities, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel right away and activate the notification bell so you don't miss absolutely any of the next fascinating secrets about plants, forgotten by modern history. But there's something else truly fundamental and crucial you absolutely need to know about this deeply buried wood. Something very important that modern large-scale industrial agriculture completely and consciously abandoned solely for pure, maximum financial profit. Synthetic chemical fertilizers produced in factories only give you a very quick and completely temporary growth boost, a sudden and violent injection of concentrated and strong artificially produced nutrients. Plants grow seemingly quickly for just a few short weeks with artificial and unnatural leaf greenery, and then the entire soil is again completely exhausted, dead, and devoid of biological life. You have to buy another very expensive chemical fertilizer, and again in a few weeks, and again after another season. This is an endless cycle of planned and programmed economic dependence on large chemical corporations. Wood buried deep in the soil works in a completely different, natural, and sustainable biological way. It is extremely slow in its action, ideally constant and predictable, completely unstoppable for decades, as it gradually and systematically decomposes over 10, 15, even 20 consecutive long years. It releases a continuous and perfectly balanced flow of nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, valuable magnesium, and potassium. All these absolutely essential micronutrients that your plants truly need for a healthy life. Your plants never receive too much of everything at once in a single moment, and never go completely without absolutely anything for long periods. This is a system perfectly balanced by wise nature itself over millions of years of evolution. And the best part of all these benefits: the soil improves significantly and noticeably every single year that passes in your garden. It gradually becomes darker and richer, noticeably and distinctly richer in nutrients, incredibly more alive, and densely populated by billions of helpful microorganisms. In a normal and traditional garden, you have to add fresh compost and expensive fertilizer every season just to maintain exactly the same level of production as the year before. With this innovative system of deeply buried wood, you invest once in a guaranteed and certain insurance policy for a full 20 long years. You build all this just once with real commitment and work. You harvest abundantly and joyfully for 2 whole long decades without interruption. By building strategic and well-thought-out mounds over carefully buried wood, you literally and physically create personalized microclimates for different plants. The steep sides of an intelligently raised mound offer completely different and unique exposures to natural sunlight. Some sides get much and distinctly more direct hot sun throughout the day. Others receive much more protective and cool natural shade. You can plant heat-loving peppers and tomatoes on the south side exposed to full sun, and delicate lettuce that prefers coolness on the north side, shaded for most of the day. All of this concentrated within the same single square meter of valuable garden space. The significant height of a well-built mound also significantly and noticeably improves the drainage of excess rainwater. Even in the most problematic areas with heavy and compact clay soil, the roots never drown or rot. You have created a true, three-dimensional vertical ecosystem full of diverse life. And here comes the most extraordinary part, which fundamentally challenges every common belief about growing plants. There are documented stories of gardening enthusiasts in cold and windy regions who successfully grew fragrant lemons, sweet kiwis, and juicy grapevines, exotic crops that absolutely should never survive in their harsh climate zone. How is all this even possible? By strategically and wisely utilizing the natural warmth and protective microclimate of buried wood mounds to completely trick the local harsh climate, because well-constructed mounds provide a perfectly stable temperature of 12 degrees Celsius constantly in the root zone, even in severe and frosty winter, and the intelligently erected structure captures and maximizes every single ray of available sun throughout the day. The impossible suddenly becomes a daily routine and a normal experience. You don't need expensive glass greenhouses artificially heated with energy to cultivate a lush Mediterranean garden in a temperate zone. You only need enough rotten wood collected from the forest to build proper and solid foundations for the mound. As we inevitably approach a new era of increasingly unpredictable and extreme climate and rising costs of drinking water and industrial fertilizers, we can no longer afford the thoughtless waste of resources. Burying rotten wood is the ultimate and completely sustainable solution for future generations. It transforms useless garden waste into your most valuable and lasting assets for many years to come. It's a one-time investment of time and labor that yields generous dividends for decades. You build it all only once with commitment. You harvest abundantly for 20 consecutive years without additional costs. No expensive equipment to buy in stores, no hefty monthly bills for toxic chemicals, no constant worries about the next devastating drought. You take garden waste and build a solid foundation for the future for your children. Thank you enormously for planting this ancient and valuable knowledge with us today. The precious wisdom of our grandparents is now in your hands. How good it is that you patiently stayed until the very end. See you soon in the next video. Green Treasure.